was going to say quiet on the set, but I don't care. Just have fun. Sound like some good conversations going. So we're live? Okay, good evening and welcome to Thursday night at Living Word Family Church. This is These Final Days Ministries. I'm that guy right there, Pastor Ryan Speakman. That's me filtered and all that stuff, you know, looking good. Gosh, if I hadn't interjected that cute little point there, Living Word Family Church, I'm Pastor Ryan Speakman, serving under my favorite pastor in the whole world, Pastor Maureen Collins, because I never want to forget to mention my pastor. Yeah, I love my pastor. So, welcome, everybody. Glad you're all here. It's a nice, full class tonight. It looks really good. We're going to have a great time tonight. I think I have been promising you the last, 3 or 4 classes, Iran and Bible prophecy. I was going to say maybe next class, but next class we have a guest speaker. So maybe the class after that. You know what's cool, though? You know what's exciting about like where we are with this ministry is that when you've got a topic and week after week you just can't get to it because stuff keeps happening, that might be like a sign, like we're like in the times that we're talking about here, right? So, so we're going to have a good time tonight so you can all see what the topic is. And I don't think I've ever done a whole class just on the Red Heifer, and I sure as heck didn't mean to tonight. But you'll see. It just, a lot's happened the last couple weeks, so we're going to get into it. Let's start by looking at our calendar, make sure we're in the right place here. So this is, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong screen here. Bear with me. Here we go. Okay. So tonight is August 21st, right? So we're in the right place here. And so again, because of, hey, Elijah, do me a favor. Come up and turn the speaker down just a hair. I don't know why it's like distracting me. Like, how do you guys sit there and listen to my voice? It's like driving me nuts. I don't want to hear my own voice. So just a hair. Yeah. How's the speaker sound to you guys? Sounds great. They all love it. Just a little bit. I'll get used to it. So no, because you know why? Because it sounds like Aaron talking to my ear. My twin brother. Yes. Yeah. Speaking of which, right? So you guys all know that I normally teach this class every other week, and the reason that the schedule's thrown off, I told you guys, and I want you to be aware now because it's all out in the public, and also because you guys are my people, and you can be praying and having your faith out there. So it's my wife Pam, her chemo schedule, and last Friday she had her 3rd treatment, which means we're exactly halfway through, which is amazing. She's doing great. She's just beautiful and healthy. Everything's going very, very good. But that's why I'm kind of like skipping a week and then we're cramming 2 together. But I'm determined not to cheat you guys out of a class. That's why we're doing 2 classes in a row. So you guys all get that. We are meeting next week, next Thursday. And drum roll, please. Here's our guest speaker. So, yeah. I'm going to have a long talk with the cloning factory, though, because I swear there's like malfunctions. But so Aaron's coming back. And it's so funny. He's only taught the class with me just that one time. That was a couple months ago, right? And just so much good feedback. Like, everybody really likes Aaron. They like Aaron a lot. And he does a great job. And he's a teacher by trade. That's his profession. He's always been interested in the topic, just like me, of course, but hasn't really been into it, never really involved with the ministry until last December. Something happened that really got him excited, and now he's like full bore into These Final Days Ministries. So, and apologies to everybody that like you have a guest speaker, someone team teaching, they look like you, they sound exactly like you. I know it's confusing, just be filled with the Holy Spirit and he'll help you break it all up, so, but last time he was here, you guys probably recall, may not recall, we had a little technical glitch, so about half the class never even made it onto the live stream. So everybody in here got the class, but everybody online was like, oh my gosh, I want to hear the rest of it. So Aaron's going to come back. We're kind of going to do a redo. It's not the same class. So if you've already, if you're here for the last one, come for this one. It is going to be different. We're going to be doing more like, team teaching. But we are going to look again at this question of, where are we on the timeline? And you guys all see it there, the red dot down by Rex down here. Rex kind of point toward it. Yep. And so we're going to talk more about that, like why we are convinced that is where we are on the timeline, which right off the bat should really get people's attention, because that means we're saying that we are well into the book of Revelation. We are well into the last of the last days. We're not quite to the start of the 7-year Great Tribulation, but look how close we're getting. See the big red line on the very top? That's the Great Tribulation. We're getting close. How close? I don't know. But tonight we're going to, talk about that a little bit too, just some hints. So next week, Aaron will be here live and in person. Should I tell him to not bring the chocolate bars and throw them at people's faces? Well, Don wants the chocolate bars. Okay, well, I'll let Aaron decide for himself. So if you are interested in learning more about this ministry, you can go to thesefinaldays.org. From there, you can connect to our various social media platforms, which in the last 2 weeks are taking off. I'm going to explain that. You can also link over to Amazon. My best-selling book series, These Final Days Part 1 and 2, bestsellers for years and years, which is great. Small genre, but still, I can say that. And Part 3, I know I've been saying for years, is coming soon. I'm halfway through the conclusion now, which is really good. And every time I say that, see, nobody gets excited. Oh, yay, because I know what you're all thinking. Well, what's taking them so long to just write a conclusion? Because I'm writing about our guy in Damascus. And I need, like never before have I needed to dot my I's and cross my T's this much. So this is the conclusion is very research intensive. You're going to love it when I'm done. As I'm going, I'm learning and discovering stuff. In fact, because of this work I'm doing on the conclusion right now, at the end of this class, we will be adding checkbox number 23 to our slide. We got seriously out of my research. Oh, this is so good, but I'm saving it for the end. That way you all stay awake and just drink some coffee, eat some cookies. Thank you again, Debbie, for bringing the cookies. Give her a hand. So while you're on the site, if the Holy Spirit so moves you, and I mean that sincerely, you can click on the donate button. That'll bring you here. You can donate in various ways: PayPal, Venmo, Zelle. I think is acting a little bit glitchy right now, but we're going to look into that. Or just mail a check. A lot of people do that actually. So, with that, I will pass around the offering bucket. My father-in-law, that's his job, I guess. I'll give Ernie a hand. My wonderful father-in-law. He's such a great dad, such a great grandfather, and a pretty good father-in-law. I love my dad-in-law. It's the best one I've got, So, let's all do our mission statement together. You guys ready? To make the great apostasy a little less great. Okay, which sounds kind of funny. I always say this, but I mean that extremely sincerely. That is the purpose of These Final Days Ministries. The end times are upon us. The Apostle Paul tells us in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 that during the Great Tribulation and the reign of the Antichrist, there will be a great apostasy, a great falling away from the faith of believers. So that literally, what's more important than that for an end times ministry than to work to minimize that? How do we minimize that? Paul says the reason is deception. So that's what we're doing here is fighting against deception in ourselves and in the body of Christ as a whole. And God is good, and the Holy Spirit reveals stuff. We're learning all the time, but God doesn't want that anyone should perish, right? So this was last Saturday. I don't know how many of you were able to catch this, or maybe after the fact, but had a great. Debbie's clapping. How many of you happen to catch this or part of it? So pretty cool, right? So I don't know if you know who Joel Richardson is. He's a very well-known end times guy. Has been around for a lot of years. He's Ernie's favorite. I'm Ernie's second favorite, I think. But Joel's great. So Joel is almost the only guy out there besides us. Not the only guy, and certainly not nowadays. But back in the day, it was like him and Waleed Shubat were the only ones who were saying the Antichrist. He's not coming from Rome. He's not coming from Europe. He's not American. He's from the Middle East. And then Joel, over the years, has kind of honed in on Turkey and mainly Syria. And he and I actually talked about that briefly on the show. I kind of joked about that. I said, yeah, I've got it narrowed down to Damascus. We should talk, right? But Annalie, she's maybe 30 years old, and she's amazing. And I never even heard of her before the show, and I even told that to her on the show. But Skylar's been following her, my daughter. So she's very, very popular with the Gen Z crowd and the younger millennials. And so if you ever want to go try to catch her, if you want to see our roundtable discussion, the host was Matt Haas. Great guy, super cool. He's very, very good at this. You can go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/These Final Days. Scroll down to the special edition section, and right now it's the first one on the list. So, but I encourage you to go check it out. It's fun. The three of us talking and him asking us some very pertinent questions, and also stuff like what about the trumpet sounds people are hearing in the air and the Euphrates River drying up. So you can kind of hear what we have to say about stuff like that. Good enough? pretty fun stuff. So, okay, so we're going to get into our class first. Okay, control yourself. I do have an announcement. I know people watching online on the live stream, they don't know the personal crowd here, but we really are like a family, and we lost one of our family members this last week. I already forgot what day of the week it was. Was it early Sunday morning? I remember a Saturday that I came by the hospital. But so yeah, Sharon Jackson passed away. She graduated, is how we put it, right? So and yeah, about 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. But she was wonderful. I mean, I've known her and Kurt for at least a quarter of a century, I think. I mean, how long have you been going to church here, Kurt? Maybe it wasn't. 2001. Okay, so yeah, right. So 24 years. Wow. Long time, and just the most loving, sweet, lady. And she hasn't been here in a while because of her health issues. To our class, she hasn't been here, but you walk into a room and she'd make you feel like you were the world's biggest celebrity. Just walked in, just so whoever you are, just so happy and excited to see you. She has been one of my greatest cheerleaders over the years, and I love her. I miss her already. And Kurt was very insistent not to say anything about him, and I'm scared of him, so I hesitate, but I have to. And Kurt really is like a scary guy, like in a good way. He's tough. He's a protector. He's helped me in security for all these years in this ministry in ways that I'm not going to go into, but Sharon kind of outed him because whenever he was around her, you could see that tender heart, and he loved her. There was never any question about that. That was my impression. I could tell that she felt very loved and very safe with you, Kurt. And God was her covering. You were second in command here on earth, and you were very, very good at it. And she felt that. She felt very safe and very loved. So we're all scared of you. She was not. And I just want to say that as husbands go, Kurt, in my opinion, I think you nailed it. And we love you, and we're here for you. Okay, just so you know. So okay. So that's our in memory of Sharon, and she really loved this topic, the Red Heifer. So I think she would want us to go right into it. So is that cool? Yeah. But keep Kurt in your prayers, and he's right back there. So if you want to give him a hug after the class, boy, he's going to be so mad at me. Yeah, I just have to do it. What?
She does have access to lightning bolts.
That's true. Yeah, almost as scary as you, but yeah, I can't help it, Kurt. I mean, I love you, man. That's just how I feel. Sorry, live with it. So, okay, so this is today's date, right? And I just noticed my note to myself: need to start with Ezekiel chapters. Yeah, not this class. So here's what we're going into. So, Red Heifer update. So who here is interested in the topic of the Red Heifer? Yes, I mean, this is one of kind of like the core topics in popular eschatology, people who follow the end times. And I've always kind of sensed this and felt it. I have experienced this like to the nth degree in the last 2 weeks. Like, I'm shocked at just how popular this topic is now that I've kind of decided to dive into it both feet. So 2 weeks ago, who was here in the class 2 weeks ago? Most of you, about half of you. So you may or may not recall, but I actually showed this announcement here. So this gentleman, he's kind of like the main one who puts out the news releases on the Red Heifers. So he's kind of, close with the people involved in it, right? His name is Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz. He's actually, I believe he's the one who owns this website, Israel 365 News. And he goes on a bunch of shows and makes his own videos and all that, right? So 2 weeks ago, and it's actually 2 weeks ago yesterday, right? So 15 days ago, this came out in the news, and instantly it was just all over the internet, and CBN picked it up, and TBN picked it up, and et cetera, et cetera. Probably even Fox News, who knows? So this is the story, right? So the Temple Institute, we all know who they are. This is the organization in Jerusalem. They've been there since 1987, and they're the ones who have been preparing for decades to rebuild the Holy Temple. And they've got all the instruments ready, and the priests are trained, and they've got the priestly garments. They've got everything ready that they can have ready. But there's a few things that they can't just do on their own. So most things that pertain to the temple and the temple service, is just God's command: make this and do this and make sure it looks like this. And you got the two, the two, golden, cherubim on the lids of the Ark of the Covenant, whatever, right? But there's a few things that can't really be, created, so to speak, by the hand of man. And the red heifer, of course, is one of them, to a degree. So there's been a breeding program. They're not allowed to do genetic modification. They are allowed to do, make an effort. Like, hey, this is a pretty red-looking bull. This is a pretty red-looking cow. Let's get these two together and see if we can make an even redder, calf, right? So that is actually allowed. What else? Can you guys think of anything else that it's really just God himself who has to provide it before?
Can only have so many hairs discolored.
Well, yeah, not the red heifer, but other things besides the red heifer. Go ahead.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so what else can you guys think of besides the red heifer that the Jews are going to have in place before they build the third temple, but that can only come really by the hand of God, huh?
Let me rephrase. Can you repeat the audience response to the last?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So, Debbie, what was your question again? You said, Debbie started to talk about the qualifications of the red heifer. Thank you, Elijah. Yeah, we're trying to get in the habit of, we have a new setup here, so I have to remember that when you guys ask a question or make a comment, I have to repeat it. So maybe you guys could help me remember to do that. Debbie?
So you have to have the blue coloring?
Yeah, Debbie says you have to have the checkbox, which is the blue dye. They have rediscovered that back in the late 1990s. We know the guy personally. Mark has had lunch with him in Jerusalem. His name is Baruch Stearman. So the blue dye, the checkbox, it's a great answer. We've got that. Another one is the holy incense. That's a whole topic unto itself. They're not 100% sure about the ingredients, how to mix it. And there's a prohibition in Judaism against creating the incense in advance. You guys remember our incense project? Okay, it's just getting ready to start gaining traction again. I'll get to that in a second here. So, but the red heifer, the Ark of the Covenant's one. They can't remake the Ark of the Covenant. They have a duplicate of it. Mark's seen that too, right? They have a duplicate of it in the Temple Institute, facility exhibition in Jerusalem, but it's not the actual Ark of the Covenant. But they know where it is. Everybody, where's the Ark of the Covenant hidden right now? Put on your Indiana Jones hat, huh? Where? Yes. So Mark is saying, and I think Don is agreeing, so it's directly beneath the Dome of the Rock on the Temple Mount. So the Jews have known this for forever, all the way back to the time of King Josiah, just before the Babylonian captivity. Maimonides writes about it in no uncertain terms. That's where it's hidden. Okay, well, how come no one's gone after it? Hang out after class. We'll talk about the news, right? Just turn on the news and you'll see why. So, yeah, the Jews, even though they have ostensibly controlled the Temple Mount since 1967, they let the Muslims stay in control, and Jews have barely been able to even go up there, and up until very recently, they couldn't even move their lips and, like they were praying, or they'd get, banished from the Temple Mount. They're not going to go up there and start digging a hole looking for the Ark of the Covenant. There's some interesting stories about that, but we're not going to take the time. Okay, red heifer, yeah, so let's talk about that. So, Debbie brought up the qualifications of the red heifer. So since tonight is mostly about the red heifer, I do have my al-Sharaa announcement at the end of the class, but we're going to talk about the red heifer and what's happened the last 2 weeks. So what do you guys know about, first of all, what is the big deal? Why do we need a red heifer? Let's just build the temple. Let's get this party started, right? There's other issues, like the Dome of the Rock is standing there. But let's say that we actually could, move the Dome of the Rock, whatever they're going to do with it, start to build the temple. We need this red cow to be able to just even start construction. Why?
Yeah, why?
So you guys should all know this, right? So where in the Bible do we get the red heifer ordinance? It's on your screen, I think. Yeah, Numbers chapter 19, which is part of the Torah, right? So this is actually God himself giving instructions to Moses on Mount Sinai. So this was God's idea. You have to kill this red heifer and then burn it. Okay, go ahead, Debbie. Debbie had her hand up.
Well, it's mainly to represent the blood.
Yeah, so see, and that all this stuff is types and shadows. So what do you mean represent the blood? Whose blood?
Jesus' blood, the Christ, God's sacrifice.
Yeah, so Debbie says that the red heifer is an archetype of Jesus dying. Of course it is, right? And there's a whole bunch of stuff about the red heifer that parallels what we know about Jesus. Like, in essence, the red heifer would not qualify to be the red heifer unless it was perfect. Okay, well, we know that was Jesus. He was the perfect sacrifice, right? And his blood covers over. So what do we do with the ashes? So we slaughter the red heifer. Don't say sacrifice. It's not a sacrifice unless it's on the Temple Mount or at the temple. So we slaughter the red heifer. It's a ceremony, and then we burn it, and we have all these ashes. And what do we do with the ashes? Go ahead, Don.
We have to sanctify all the people who are going to work on the new temple.
That's what they're used for, in addition to a whole bunch of other stuff. But what specific type of purity are the ashes of the red heifer? And I mean, what do? Take a big handful of ashes and throw it somebody's face, or what do you do with it? John's laughing. He's like, I would do that. Okay, that's a good guess. Put it on, mark it across their forehead. Not correct, but it's a good guess. Go ahead, Greg.
Is it like Ash Wednesday?
Nope, that's like what your wife just said, like put it on their forehead. No, so what they actually do with this, they have to mix the ashes with pure running spring water, and so you slaughter one red heifer, and you're going to have, ultimately you'll have gallons and gallons of this purifying water. Okay, this sanctification water, right? And there's a specific type of impurity that the water of the red heifer, when you sprinkle it on somebody, that it purifies them of. So again, like what Debbie said about Jesus being the antitype of this, right? This is the type and shadow of Jesus. What is it ultimately that Jesus delivers us from, or that we're here? I'll just say it because I'm not asking this clearly. Death, right? So it's specifically for anyone who's ever come into contact with a dead body. You've been to a funeral. You've even set foot in a cemetery. You need this purifying water with the ashes of the red heifer to cleanse you before you can get anywhere near the temple. Okay, and this is a very strict law, again, that God Himself put in place. So they really can't do the temple until they get the red heifer. Go ahead, Kurt.
My question to you is, were you referring to it as the blood of Jesus? The Jews do not. What do the Jews say that it's for?
Yeah, I mean, a very, very fair question. Kurt said, hey, we can say that this is symbolic or an archetype of the blood of Jesus, but how the Jews? Of course, the Jews don't see it like that. They, all this stuff that Christians today, understand about these things. That's not their covenant. They're still in the old covenant. So from their standpoint, you're looking at it. It's Numbers chapter 19. It's because God instituted this in the Torah. They're just following that specific law. They know what God told them to do. So Debbie started to say, like in what ways is the red heifer perfect?
You can only have like 3 or 4 odd color hairs, black hairs or white hairs.
Okay, excellent.
Everything else has to be perfectly red.
Excellent. So Debbie said you can only have 3 or 4 hairs that are not red, and it's actually, you can only have 1 hair that's not red. So you can have 1 white hair, 1 black hair. If you have 2, disqualified. This is a humongous issue, right? Even the hoof has to be red, right? So again, Jesus was a pure and spotless sacrifice. The red heifer is a type that. In fact, it's funny because I might forget to say this later, so let me say it now. The spot on the Mount of Olives where they have to slaughter, I have to say it right, the red heifer just happens to be a stone's throw down the hill from where Jesus ascended to the Father, and when He comes back, He's coming back at that exact spot. So there's even like this kind of a physical connection. It's literally across the street. Remember the cappuccino shop, Mark? They cross the street, and you're looking down at the Dome of the Rock. That's where this plot of land is, where the red heifer has to be slaughtered. So it can never have worked in any way if it ever even wore a yoke, like someone put a yoke, even if it didn't do any plowing, or if it just stood there with a yoke, disqualified. If it's been made to do any work at all, like walking around a field or something, disqualified. Work even, like if someone comes and leans against it and it has to balance itself, disqualified. Yeah, it's crazy. Now, John, you just laughed kind of scoffingly. I know, right? I know you don't mean it scoffingly, but I'm going to use you as an example here, right? Because people have been doing this with me over the last 2 weeks online. They're kind of like mocking this, like it's ridiculous. Remember, like Debbie said, type and shadow of Christ. It has to be that perfect. Jesus had to be that perfect to be our red heifer sacrifice, if you could use it in those terms, right? So it can never have given birth to a calf. There's all kinds of qualifications, all right? And again, what is it that we're all like so anxious for? Christians and Jews alike, Christians who understand this stuff. A lot of Christians are not anxious to see the temple rebuilt. But this is, again, it's got to be, we have to have the red heifer hypothetically before the temple can be built. And I'm going to explain the hypothetically part. This is news to me, some stuff I've learned this week. So this was, so back on July 1st, there was a practice ceremony. And there was actually one before this that didn't get publicized at all, I don't think. And I told you guys about the one before because I have been able to, finally be in touch with Rabbi Mamo. Hi, Richard. With Rabbi Mamo, who is one of the guys who own the Red Heifers. He's one of the guys who brought the Red Heifers over from Texas. And he happens to be the guy who bought and currently owns the plot of land where it has to be slaughtered. So this is like the guy, Rabbi Mamo. Okay, you guys are going to think I'm spinning this. I work really hard because I want to be able to give you guys good information. It's really for me. You know this. I know. I'm not going to be able to spin this. But really, like my goal with all this stuff is always get to the full truth. You got to go to primary source every time. So through Rabbi Richmond, I was able to meet Rabbi Yehuda Glick, right? Mark, remember we met with him and his wife? Great people. Gave us some really good cookies. And both of those gentlemen were, in times past, the international director of the Temple Institute, like one of the top guys. Well, the new guy, I've been trying to get in touch with him for several years. We've kind of gone back and forth a little bit with email. Yitzhak Rubin is his name. Anyways, I asked Rabbi Glick, can you get me in touch with Rabbi Mamo? And it took almost 2 years before I finally heard from Rabbi Mamo. But he was so kind to actually write to me, and I can share it now because it's all been out in the public. The Red Heifer guys, and I'm going to give more detail on who I mean by that besides Rabbi Mamo, right? We're very upset about this, it turns out. These are conversations I've had with these guys in the last week or so. The Temple Institute actually asked this guy to take this off of his website. It was too late because the second he posted this, it was out in the whole world. Everybody picked up on it. So, now that it's out, right? But he wrote to me on July 4th, actually, so it was 3 days after the actual ceremony. He says, I'm sharing this with you personally out of deep appreciation for your friendship and the meaningful partnership we've shared through this journey. We'd only been talking for a couple months at this point. As so often, I know this is kind of a form letter, but still it's nice. As so often happens, I find myself in a complex position. On the one hand, I strongly urge you not to share or publicize any of the information below. But again, this was all like out in the open now, so I can share it with you now. So every step we take in this sensitive process must be carried out with the utmost discretion. I mean, a lot of other stuff has happened since then that's like, okay, yeah, this leaves this kind of in the shadows now. On the other hand, I believe with full conviction that without the involvement of global leaders willing to call on the Israeli government to hold the ceremony, we cannot truly move forward. And then he goes into detail, which I won't share that with you, about what they actually did, right? But this was it. This was the full practice, meaning with an actual red heifer. So they had 5 red heifers. By this time, 2 had been disqualified. That left them 3. This one, though, I'm being told this last week, was also disqualified. So the one that they slaughtered on July 1st, it wasn't going to be a red heifer anyways. People getting mad, well, why are they killing these, poor cows just for practice for no reason? I'm like, when's the last time you had a hamburger, bro? Or you ever have a steak? Or, you ever go to KFC? I mean, come on, just whatever. Anyways, I'm sorry. I've had a lot of fun on the internet the last couple weeks. All right. So this happened on July 1st. All right. So, fast forward to 2 weeks ago, and this was literally just the day before our last class. Okay, so you remember I showed this article in our last class. This was published by Adam on August 6th, which was a Wednesday. And this was the first I'd heard about it, but it turns out that the day before that, on August 5th, it was the Temple Institute who came out with this. And I don't know how many of you have heard this, but they came out with this announcement saying, this is right after their holy days and even like reading the ordinance of the red heifer and all that, right? That's what they're talking about, right? But he says, the person who posted this says, and again, this is the Temple Institute. Let me make a point here. In my extremely not so humble opinion, no, but really, in my opinion, this is the Temple Institute's call. It doesn't matter who owns the red heifer. This is my opinion. Doesn't matter who owns the land. Doesn't matter who slaughters the red heifer. It is the Temple Institute who's going to be building the third temple. If they don't say the ashes are qualified, you could burn all the red heifers you want. They're not going to use the ashes. It's just that simple, which is kind of complicated, this situation. You guys ever watch like Days of Our Lives back in the day, or Dallas? You guys kind of like soap operas? Okay, buckle your seatbelts, because this is a soap opera. Oh, it's so much fun. And again, my goal with all this is like, I got to get to like the real truth. There's so many rumors out there and podcasts, and I'm like, let's see what we can do here. I started name dropping like you wouldn't believe, right? Get my foot in the door. So the Temple Institute says, our longtime supporters are certainly aware of the Institute's effort to raise or discover a red heifer suitable for the purpose of achieving the ashes of the red heifer. I know you can't read that on the screen, that's why I'm reading it. Let's see, the purpose of achieving, go back more than 2 decades, right? We have, meaning the late 1990s is when they first thought they discovered, or they first did discover red heifers. That was Rabbi Richmond, and those ended up becoming disqualified. Oh, by the way, it has to make it to its 3rd birthday before it qualifies as the red heifer. And then some people say, well, you know, how quickly do they have to, like, when does it, never disqualified. If a heifer lives to 100 years old, as long as it's still kosher, they can still use it, right? So there's no upper age limit. Both professionally and personally, we've worked with cattle growers in Israel. We have raised red heifer candidates. They can't, the Jews can't raise the red heifer from a calf, because the ordinance in Numbers 19 says they have to acquire a red heifer. Red heifer heifer means a full-grown cow, like able to bear calves. So if it's one of their calves, it can never be qualified. They have to obtain it from somebody else, including Gentiles. And in this case, that's what's going on here, right? The 5 red heifers were from a Christian evangelical guy in Texas named Byron Stinson. Okay, we have worked with cattle growers in Israel. We have raised red heifer candidates here in Israel, and we have flown over red heifer candidates from Texas. That's Byron Stinson. The halachot concerning the law concerning the eligibility of a potential red heifer are very strict. And see the highlight part. Unfortunately, all our efforts so far have been frustrated by the appearance of more than one non-red hair on all of our potential candidates. Nevertheless, our efforts continue. So this was what prompted the article by Adam 2 weeks ago, and the internet went nuts. There's no more red heifers. Oh my gosh, our hopes were so high, and we thought that, the temple's going to get built, so Jesus is coming back soon, and that's us too, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we do. We keep watching, and we get excited, and something happens, and this is terrible of me. You guys are going to be mad at me for this. 2 weeks ago, when I showed you this news article, I was slightly relieved, because I thought, good, I can stop talking about the red heifer, and we'll get to like my other material, right? Well, that's not what happened. Yeah. Anyway, so my immediate response when I saw this is this really true? So I wrote to Rabbi Mamo, and I said, Rabbi, are they saying we no longer have a qualified red heifer? And this was again the day that Adam published this article, and then later in the day I hadn't heard from him. I thought, okay, he's annoyed, I'm bugging him, so I just said, okay, praying for you in Bonnet, Israel. That's the name of their organization that again brought over the red heifers, have been caring for the red heifers, right? But so this was on a Wednesday, okay, 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, the very next day, you guys ready for this? I don't know if you guys heard this or not. This is so great, so entertaining. The very next day, this comes out. What is this? So we already have the news that there's no qualified red heifers. It's over. We're just going to have to hit the reset button, start from scratch, start looking for a red heifer. And then this happened the very next day. Okay, you see what it says there? It happened now, ? Breaking news, the first red heifer ceremony in 2,000 years, ? And so, long story short, what happened the next day is all these podcasts and shows and even news channels were coming out saying, listen, that so-called practice ceremony on July 1st, it wasn't practice. This was all just a ruse. They're trying to avoid controversy, maybe avoid violence. They're keeping it secret. So the July 1st ceremony was actually the real ceremony. And now we have the ashes of the red heifer. we're ready to go forward. And what really perpetuated this rumor, it's just like the opposite of the other one. One says, no red heifers, we got to start all over again. The other says, no, that was real. Like, now we have the red heifer ashes, right? So it's been a fun couple weeks. So what really blew it up is this gentleman that you see right here with the kippah on, right? And I'm pretty sure that I should have asked my guys, but I'm pretty sure he's a Messianic Jew. So and that just means a Jew who has converted to Christianity, which is great, terrific, right? But do you see what he's holding up in the picture there? This guy. Those are ashes. Who's seen this? Who's familiar with this? So Debbie, what are we seeing on this screen here?
So basically, he's saying that he's got a segment of the ashes.
Yeah.
And that he has confirmed to himself that it did happen.
He's confirmed for himself that it was the actual ceremony. He's a Jewish guy. He's got the beard and everything. He's wearing the kippah. He's holding up a little bag of ashes, saying this is the actual red heifer ashes, right? So, so the show that he did, his big announcement, he's been on a bunch of shows since then, the last 2 weeks, is called Timcast, which I'd never heard of. Elijah's 100% familiar, maybe, because he's that age. Skylar, I'm sure, knows it, but it's a very, very big podcast, big audience. And I went and watched it, but the guy's very convincing, very excited, Jewish, this is for real. These are the actual ashes. So, so I can tell you two things that are of absolute fact, and you'll believe me by the time we're done with the class here. First of all, he wasn't at the ceremony. He was not there. Yep, he wasn't there. So I almost, in one of my TikToks in the last 2 weeks, I'll explain that, I almost used the word fraud, maybe. Thank God I didn't, because when I dug deeper, what I discovered is that this gentleman actually is personal friends with Byron Stinson, who is the Texas rancher who raised the red heifers, and he's directly involved. Listen, and Byron was at that ceremony, and Byron at that ceremony actually collected ashes, and he actually gave some of those ashes to his friend Adam here. So these really are ashes from the ceremony. Here's the thing. The actual rabbis involved in all this, I'm talking about Boneh Israel, I'm talking about the Temple Institute, they're upset about this, because if this was like the actual ashes of the red heifer, that's a really major sin to be going on shows waving around a plastic bag of them. So just that claim alone, right? But whatever, I don't care. Like they're mad, for this, right? But the big thing here is his claim. It was the real ceremony. Okay, so we have the ashes of the red heifer, major, prophetic sign, right? So here's the problem. And actually, before I get to the problem, what's my next slide? So this was on Thursday. 2 days later, on Saturday, just to tell the story right. So this is a picture of Starbucks on Kiowa, where my daughter Skylar used to work. She's at Wild Coffee now. And I was having a really cool meeting about the ministry. I'll get more people in on those meetings, okay? Like now all of you are like, I want to go to the next meeting, right? But it was Mark and Richard and Richard's lovely wife, Sarah, and we were talking about social media stuff. So Sarah's going to start doing some social media stuff for these Final Days Ministries. Amazing. Wait till you see what she's doing. But just, it's time to grow and expand, because the Antichrist is actually in Damascus now, maybe. So, right? Right? There's this red heifer thing. We got to start getting our message out there, right? So, we have our meeting, and Sarah convinces me, you just got to start doing TikTok. When you leave Starbucks, just go and do a TikTok. Just, do one, right? So I thought, okay, I'll do one. So I think it was as soon as I left, Richard, Mark, maybe you guys remember, because I texted you right away, I heard back from Rabbi Mamo. So it was 4 days later I had not heard from Rabbi Mamo when I said, is this real? We don't have any qualified red heifers. Look what he wrote. It's not correct. He's always very concise with his response. So more info, please. So I said the news articles are saying that Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz made the statement and that they're all disqualified. And here's what he says. He says, this is Rabbi Mamo. He says, there are still 2 kosher cows, 2 fully qualified red heifers. I did not understand the wording of the Temple Institute's announcement. These guys have to work together. I mean, like that, or this is not going to happen. There are all kinds of interests there, which is what I've discovered. Like I said, soap opera. God willing, we are continuing with all our strength with the full support of the head of the Temple Institute. That's Rabbi Ariel, and he's the one who founded the Temple Institute in 1987. He was actually a paratrooper in 1967. He was there on June 7th when they captured the Temple Mount. He was one of the IDF soldiers who stood guard over the Dome of the Rock that night, June 7th, before Moshe Dayan came in the next day and gave it all away, gave it all back to the Muslims. And that's what sowed the seeds for him to start the Temple Institute. Finally, 20 years later, he started it. But that's who Rabbi Mamo is referring to. We got to get this guy's support right. And he says, and he names him Rabbi Yisrael, Ariel, and other rabbis, including his son, Rabbi Ariel's son, happens to work there, Azariah. I'll get to him in a second here. So I did my first TikTok. I've done a few in the past, but they were so lame and sad and pathetic, and like 3 people watch them. I think all 3 of them were my mom. And yeah. And but I thought, I'm going to do Sarah's advice, right? So I did one. This one kind of took off a little bit. I got some views. I got some comments, right? I still didn't do quite right. The missing piece of the puzzle all along was my 16-year-old daughter, because she's Gen Z. I'll get to that. But yeah, so that took off a little bit, which is great. And I talked about it. Hey, I know Rabbi Mamo, and he says they have 2 qualified red heifers, and I'm going to research this further and stay tuned, right? 2 days later, on Monday, somebody sends me this on one of my TikToks. I'd actually done 2 by this point, right? Because the second one I did, that was after Skylar said, Dad, under 3 minutes, use this hashtag, do this, and it'll take off. And oh my gosh, I think I found our audience. It's, TikTok. Well, we don't like TikTok. It's China owned. Dude, I don't care. I mean, like thousands of, you'll see, I don't care. Okay, and they don't censor me. Like, I could probably even say COVID, and they wouldn't kill my video. I'm serious, right? And they, it came from there, and okay, I better move on. Yikes. So I didn't know where the rumor really started that the July 1st practice ceremony was the real deal. And I was shocked when somebody sent this to me. It was Byron Stinson himself who started this rumor. So again, Byron Stinson, he's the Texas rancher, evangelical Christian, who raised the red heifers and the 5 that they brought over in September of 2022. Again, directly involved, right? He was at the ceremony, and this guy, super, he looks nice, right? But he actually posted this. He says, and this is, oh my gosh, this is the burning from July 1st. It was not on the Mount of Olives, and some Jewish leaders feel it does not pass all requirements. But it was real, and the first in 2,000 years. Some will say all you need is to follow the Torah. We did that. Others have a higher standard under the oral Torah, which is the Mishnah Torah, Maimonides, right? Many will never agree, but the world is changing fast. I love this guy, okay? I like what he's saying. I believe this ceremony changed something in the world. Yeah. But you see how people are going to read this when they read it? So it should be recognized as the first in over 2,000 years. Will there be more? Yeah. Go ahead, Richard. Clap. That's great. I know, isn't that nice? Yes. Will everyone agree that this will be the right one? No. Many will continue to question and fight against the ceremony. I just think the world needs to know the ceremony went perfect. He's right. With a perfect priest. He's right. In a place outside of the camp. That's true, whatever the camp is. And in the opinion, Shiloh is where they keep the red heifers. And in the opinion of those I respect, we used a perfect red heifer. So he's saying it was perfect. Other people I found out subsequently that it was, that they don't think it was. Does it matter? You'll find out in a second here. This ceremony was done before Hashem, right? That's what the Jews call God, right? He is merciful and faithful. He knows we are not perfect. Today, if you hear him call out to you, repent. His promised Messiah is working in this sin-filled world. So he's a great guy. He's, shalom to all is how he ends it, right? My heart and soul is innocent. I've told you the truth as I understand that truth. So can you see how Byron's statement here, like people are going to run with this and say this? What he says, this was a real ceremony. They did everything exactly right. They had the right priest and all that. Why is this absolutely not the right ceremony? I mean, the official ceremony. Why? And I'm asking you guys for real because you've been with me for a long time. Huh?
Yeah, not within an eye shot of the
temple.
Okay, ladies first. So Debbie, say your comment. I'm going to repeat it for the online audience.
It was not sacrificed at the right place that shows the temple behind.
Okay, so Debbie says because it was not slaughtered, let's use the right word, because it's not a sacrifice. It was not slaughtered at the correct location, which is adjacent to where the Holy Temple was and will be again, right? And then Richard, I think you said basically the same thing. But how did you say it, though? I like the way you said it, too.
within eye shot of you should be able to see the temple.
Yeah, so Richard is saying within eye shot of the temple, but the temple's not there. So within eye shot of what?
Eastern gate.
Don't be afraid. Just say it. The Dome of the Rock. The Dome of the Rock. Go ahead, Ernie.
Eastern Gate.
Yes, okay, Ernie's getting more specific. It has to be an eye shot of the eastern gate of the Holy Temple. The Dome of the Rock is what's currently staying there. Mark, because you've been there, man. Huh? Yes, good job. Hey, I love this progression. I love you guys. I'm just saying. Yeah. See, now you people watch online. These are my peeps right here. They know this stuff, right? Yeah, so Mark adds that other detail that literally from a vantage point where if the door is open to the Holy Temple, and then the veil is pulled back to the Holy of Holies, that you'd be looking directly into the Holy of Holies. It's a very precise little spot of land on the Mount of Olives. There's no other place that it can be sacrificed up there. That is not from the Torah. It's not from Numbers 19. That's from the Talmud. I think it's mentioned there. It's definitely in Maimonides, the Mishnah Torah. Now, I talked about this in my TikToks. I had pushback. Well, that's not in the Bible, so, that doesn't count. And do we really believe the oral Torah? Do we really believe Maimonides and the Mishnah Torah and the Talmud? Well, they say this about Christ and the Talmud. Yeah, whatever. I know. There's some bad stuff. I get it. But my answer is 1,000%. It doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter our opinion. Oh, it's not written in the Bible. We're not going to be the ones doing it. If the Jews themselves say unanimously, we have to do the red heifer slaughter on this plot of land or it doesn't count, it's never going to happen unless it's on that plot of land. Now, I believe it 100% because Maimonides, the Mishnah Torah, that was centuries of Jewish law and tradition and thought and understanding, passed down generation after generation. And Maimonides in the 12th century, around the time that the Crusaders were in control of Jerusalem, he put pen to paper into gigantic, like 25-volume set. I've got a few of the volumes at home. I wish I could get the whole thing one of these days. But that was the actual Jewish understanding. So yeah, the Torah forms the core of it. It's, of course, the Mishnah Torah, 100% legit. And again, even if it wasn't, it doesn't matter. It's what are they going to do with it, right? So yes, so you guys all get a gold star all the way around, even those of you who were sitting there like, huh? Which is none of you. You guys all get this stuff, right? Yeah, it's a specific spot. So I think that this illustration here is being overly generous. I doubt that this causeway was like that fancy and was actually like, yeah, right. Like even the Romans couldn't build that. I think it was probably actually like it just was like kind of a flat surface that went down through the Kidron Valley, crossed the Kidron River, came up the Mount of Olives, right? But, nice thought. But yeah, here's the temple right here. And look at that. It's a straight view from the Red Heifer directly into the front door of the Holy Temple right there. And that's the way, even whoever drew this, the eastern gate actually goes over here. The gate's not even there because that would block the view. It's actually over here. But it's, more of a straight shot. So, and here's the actual plot of land. So this is the plot of land that Rabbi Mamo owns. And you can see what's right back there. What am I looking? Yeah, what are we looking at? We're looking straight into the Dome of the Rock. The Dome of the Rock, it's funny, the entrance to that's on the opposite side. It's facing the west. So there's actually something here called the Dome of the Chain, kind of a long story. But anyways, yeah, this is, so when the Holy Temple is built, this will be looking directly into the Holy of Holies from this spot right here. So and listen, Mount of Olives, I mean, Mark, who owns the Mount of Olives, man? What territory is that? Palestinian territory. Whoever sold that plot of land to Rabbi Mamo is still in big trouble with his neighbors. They told me that like the guy who sold it, like he's not very popular at all. You don't sell land to Jews. He's saying, I had no idea it was for the red heifer thing, right? Do the Palestinians even care about the red heifer? I mean, this is all the weird Jewish stuff. They don't care about it, except Hamas, 2 days after October 7th, put out a video saying our only provocation for committing the atrocities of October 7th was those red cows that the Jews have. So yeah, the Palestinians care very, very much about the red heifer because they know what it means. It means that the Jews are looking at the Dome of the Rock. They think it's the mosque. They think that the Al-Aqsa Mosque is threatened. It's not that. It's the dome, which isn't even a mosque. It's a shrine. Go ahead, Richard.
What's really cool about this is it pushes the ball down the field. Yes. That ball hasn't moved in 2,000 years.
2,000 years, yeah.
These guys force the peace on the playing board.
Yeah. Even to be seeing this happening, even to be seeing like actual, red heifers who, are they qualified, are they not? I mean, even if the 5 red heifers are in fact truly disqualified, the 2 that are left, right? just the fact that we have them and that we're having these conversations, and are we close to the end times? Have we talked about that guy in Damascus? I mean, come on, man, right? So, and I've been to this spot, by the way. I had no idea at the time where I was standing, but this is kind of near the Jewish cemetery. It's interesting to me, too, that this plot of land, this just occurred to me, that this plot of land is surrounded by 100,000 Jewish graves, right, Mark? Remember that climb I made you guys do, right?
Right up to the wall.
Yeah, but here's this one plot that for some reason it was left wide open all these 2,000 years. Why? Because God knows. That just occurred to me. Wow. It's just like the plains of Megiddo. The War of Armageddon's supposed to be staged up on, the plains of Megiddo. Well, today, of course, it's high rises and freeways and all that. No, it's not. Just flat, open plain, like thousands of acres of it. God is like keeping things. The Ark of the Covenant, right? 1,400 years protected by the Dome of the Rock. Nobody can dig under it. God knows how to protect his stuff, which includes all of you. I'm sorry, I just felt like a pastor for a second. Okay, all right. See, this is why I don't do sermons. I just teach about the end of the world. All right. Okay, so here's what I wrote to Rabbi Mamo. As soon as I got when I realized this came from Stinson, he's the one who started the rumor. So Rabbi Mamo, and there he is with his land, right? This is a CBN news piece. You've seen that picture here before, right? Someone just sent me this, and this was on Monday, right? The same day that I got this person sent me Byron's statement. And I said to Rabbi Mamo, is Byron Stinson on the same page with you and the other rabbis with this? Sounds like his views differ, ? See how diplomatic I am? Yeah. So good at this, right? Like, don't make anybody mad. And it's funny because I kind of got like nervous with his response because he says, I don't understand my question. Byron is one of the best partners and friend of me. He's Jewish, English is his first language. So, now I insulted Rabbi Mamo. He's mad at me because I bring this up, right? It's cool. Who can stay mad at this face, right? Yeah, seriously. It's fine. But he didn't like it, and I don't think he'd ever seen that statement when I sent it to him. That's the impression I'm getting here, right? But he just sees it. I'm questioning, Byron, right? So what's my next step? I do research. I'm way overboard with my research with my book. I only do primary source. So, and I'm having fun with this, obviously. Want to get to the bottom of it. I want to have the truth to tell you guys, right? So what's my next chess move here?
Call Byron.
I call Byron Stinson. You can't get through to Byron Stinson. Okay? Everybody knows that. He's got people. He's got staff. He doesn't take phone calls. He doesn't take emails. You go through his people. You never get to him. Huh?
Although he writes letters.
That was a statement he put on Facebook or something, which I couldn't, track down. Well, on a whim, I tracked down his website, and I filled out the form. I said, hey, and I name dropped the heck out of it. Rabbi Richmond and Rabbi Glick and Rabbi Mamo and David Badin and Noam Badin, just in case he knows Noam. And I just went down the whole list, right? 3 minutes later, I get an email from him. Yeah, sure, call me. Yeah, I know, right? He's such a nice guy, and he even told me, because I said, can I call right this second? I'm on speed dial, right? And he even told me, he said, I never take phone calls. He says, I never meet new people. I just don't do it, right? And he said, but I'm in Chattanooga today moving my son into his new dorm room for college. I'm bored out of my mind. Let's talk about the end of the world. We talked, oh my gosh, it was great. And we talked for half an hour, really hit it off. And we talked about a lot more than just the Red Heifer, because he's an evangelical Christian. He owns land over in Jerusalem. What'd you say, Debbie?
When is he joining your feed?
Yeah, right. By the end of the conversation, he said, "My gosh, let's stay in touch. Let's get together sometime. We got to meet in person, right?" So, it's really cool. So, and I think people get my heart. I am very sensationalist, because I have fun with this stuff. But I'm not doing it for sensationalism or clicks. I really sincerely I love this stuff. I want to know about it. I love the Jewish people, and I think they pick up on that, right? So here's what we got from the conversation. Here's what I got from my phone call with him, and I was just so excited to show this to you because look how cool I am. Look how I redacted parts of it, like you guys can't. No, but seriously, so he told me some things that you guys. It's not important to you guys, believe me, but he told me some stuff about what's been happening, Temple Institute, et cetera, and then stuff that they did with the ashes. Actually, I'm already saying too much. Shut up, Brian. that he said that if this gets publicized, he says, use your own judgment, but this is going to hurt relationships. It's going to hurt feelings. So he told me some stuff that he said, please don't make public. So I'm going to show you the stuff that I can tell you. Okay. And I could have just trimmed that out and you wouldn't even know about that. But isn't that cool though, to see like redacted, like for your eyes only kind of thing. Right? Anyways, right. Yeah. It's really just soap operas, honestly. But okay. So on August 5th, the Temple Institute said they had no more qualified red heifers, right? Adam Berkowitz was only reporting on the Temple Institute's announcement. So I felt a little irked, even though I don't know him personally. Other people involved in this, I won't say, were irked with him. He was just reporting what he was told by the Temple Institute. July 1st, according to Byron himself, listen, Byron who started the rumor, everybody, you hear me? He told me, no, it was just a practice sacrifice. His words were misconstrued. He didn't mean to do that. I got this directly from him. Either I'm lying or I'm telling the truth. I talked to him on the phone. So it was, whatever you guys hear, you guys already know, it was not the real ceremony. It was practice, all right? Byron, it turns out, was actually with Rabbi Mamo when Rabbi Mamo purchased that plot of land 14 years ago. So this guy's been involved a very, very long time, right? Byron did collect ashes from the practice ceremony. He says he has enough ashes for 5 gallons of water. And, because he's an evangelical Christian and he's not like a geek with the nuts and bolts of stuff like I am, right? He feels like there's a spiritual, and maybe he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong, but he feels like there's a spiritual aspect to this, that it was a perfect red heifer. Some people were saying they did everything right, and so God's going to honor these ashes. And he feels like this water that he's making with the ashes that he collected, that there's a spiritual aspect to it. And again, he gave me some details which are interesting that I can't tell you. So I'm so sorry. You guys aren't throwing stuff at my head yet. You got any rotten tomatoes out there you can throw me? Okay. So Byron's point about the practice ceremony, he collected the ashes. He gave some to the Temple Institute, who will never use them. They'll never use the ashes for anything, right? Byron believes they need these ashes to mix with the ashes from the official ceremony. That's a whole other story. I'm not going to get into that. The rabbis don't concur with that. They don't think they need to mix the ashes of whoever the red heifer ends up being with any other ashes, right? And also to purify the Jews who are working all this. Byron's not a rabbi. These are kind of his thoughts. And he even says that. He's the most humble guy, right? But he says, so practice ceremony on July 1st was the real deal, more in a spiritual sense, and really just in the sense that it was to precise Torah specifications. This is directly from Byron. Byron was not claiming this was the official ceremony, which he confirmed must take place on the Mount of Olives. So he agrees with Debbie, and he agrees with Richard, and he agrees with Mark, and who else? Oh, and Ernie. He agrees with all of you, okay? So, again, nice guy. I said, what can I tell people, what can I not? And he said, you have the Holy Spirit, use your own best judgment. And I said, as you're saying those words, I'm getting this redact, right? So anyways, all right, so on the same day, are you guys good with this? Are you still enjoying this? This is a fun story? Like, I'm just telling you the story. Okay. So this guy, again, all over the news now, right? Adam King, a Jewish man named Adam King, claims on Timcast that Israel sacrificed a pure red heifer and lied about it being impure to prevent backlash as he presented the alleged ashes from the red heifer on the show. And I did confirm they're not alleged. Byron said, yeah, I gave him the ashes. That was an email later with Byron. He said, yeah, I gave the guy the ashes, and he's excited about this too, right? So those are the real ashes. He shouldn't be flaunting them, but that's not, my department, right? So anyways, you know what? I'm actually getting ahead of myself here with this up here, but I wrote to Rabbi Mamo about Adam King, just curious, and this is before Byron told me that he actually knows the guy, and I said, was Adam King really at the practice ceremony? He says no. And then he says nonsense with the ashes. So Rabbi Mamo, some of the other rabbis are not real pleased with what this guy's doing. I don't even know why I'm showing you guys. I should have cut out this slide because it's kind of like none of our business, right? Anyways, check this out. Okay. So TikTok. So I've been trying for about a year and a half or longer, maybe a couple years, to kind of get traction going on TikTok for our ministry. Aaron's videos got the most views by far, his 666 thing, because he's Aaron. Everybody likes him better than me. And then my other videos just get, 154 views, 242. The first one I posted about the Red Heifer, this is actually the second one I posted. The second one I posted following Skylar's pointers, over 25,000 views it's up to. And it's not bots. I'm getting like hundreds of comments, and I'm trying to respond to all of them. And the next one, I got few reviews on that, but still a lot. And then, got a, big, return on this, right? Usually this is how it happens. Like you'll get, I think, Elijah, you could confirm or deny, that you get like a really big start, and then maybe it dwindles a little bit, from there or whatever. But what I'm most excited about here, see this last video? I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going with it because my numbers went down after that first one. But still, and I'm up to over 7,500 followers, which means that TikTok, for the first time ever, they are letting us stream live to TikTok right now. So right now we're live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, X, which is Twitter, and we were on Twitch, which is a gamer platform, until Elijah and Destiny laughed at me, so I said, okay, take Twitch off. But this most recent video, over 10,000 views, hundreds of comments. I had done earlier videos about the Rapture, so I'm trying to get the teaching out there about the Rapture, and a couple hundred views or whatever, no comments, right? But because of this Red Heifer thing, now I guess my visibility's up, and now I'm posting better videos under 3 minutes. And this last one here is about the Rapture, because there's a claim right now that the Rapture is going to happen next month in September of 2025. See you in October here, okay? But yeah, over 10,000 views. So I'm just excited. This is your ministry too, but these final days, I think we're taking off. So Joel Blackford, I was on his show a couple months ago. You remember Prophecy Roundtable, and he was confirming the stuff about the Red Heifer. Anyways, so yeah, Red Heifer, very popular. I think we're finally taking off because YouTube, we're exploding, so to speak. Even Facebook is starting to get better traction because of the other two, I think. What's my last and final move? So we've dispelled it was not the real ceremony, it was a practice ceremony, right? What was the other rumor that was out there? No more qualified Red Heifers. Okay, so what's my final chess move here?
There's two left.
Well, Rabbi Mamo saying there's two left. Byron Stinson saying there's two left. But who is it who is the final say? The Temple Institute. And who's the current director of the Temple Institute? Yitzhak Reuven. I'm friends with the two previous ones. Never been able to get my foot in the door with him. We tried to meet with him when we were over in Israel for 2 weeks. He was nice. He comped us our entrance into the Temple Institute, so he knew who we were, but wouldn't meet with me, right? So guess what I did? So I wrote to him, and I said, this is going on, and I'm talking to this guy, and I talked to Byron, I'm talking to Rabbi Mamo, and got a call. Got him on the phone. My new best friend, yeah. Next time I'm in Israel, we're going out to lunch or dinner or whatever. So, and again, half-hour phone call with Yitzhak Reuven. This was on Wednesday the 20th. This is all for you guys. This is just, I'm getting to the bottom of it for you guys, right? Thank you, Greg. The most primary, like you can't get more primary source than this. So you want to know the truth about this stuff, right? So half-hour phone call, phenomenally great guy. So this is what's funny. Yitzhak is actually the one who issued the August 5th statement. He's the one that put it out that said no more qualified Red Heifers. And but he told me on the phone, he said that he was just following instructions from Rabbi Azariah Ariel, who is the son of the founder of the Temple Institute. He says he's in charge of it, the Red Heifer thing. He says, I don't know about this stuff. I just do what they tell me. That's what he told me. And now let me just go through this, right? So, because I see the time here and I really want to get to al-Sharaa. Rabbi Azariah is the head of the research department, in charge of the Red Heifer program for years. July 1st pratt ceremony was with a disqualified Red Heifer, according to the Temple Institute. So you already see a disagreement there. Mm-hmm. What Bonet Israel says is qualified, the Temple Institute saying, no, not qualified. Who's the final say? Who am I like more friends with at this point? Rabbi Mamo. But these are the guys who are going to decide. They're the ones who are going to use it. The official ceremony has to be on Rabbi Mamo's plot of land. They agree with that. He told me the story about Rabbi Richmond back in the day when they tried to get some Red Heifers. There was a rancher down in the Negev Desert in Israel. The town found out that the Temple Institute was talking to this rancher. They told, this is the Israelis telling this guy this, you don't work with those guys. because we're getting support and funding from the Jewish community in Cleveland, Ohio. They're not going to like this. They're going to stop giving us money. So they lost that whole red heifer. His point to me was this has been a soap opera from day one, trying to get a red heifer. It's cool though, right? The end time story is not a smooth track. Let me just say that like none of this is, right? So he told me that even without the red heifer ashes, that they can still do the Passover offering. And during this phone call, he said, I think we can even start construction of the third temple. We don't actually need the ashes to start construction. This was 100% news to me. Never even heard this like suggested, right? He says we do need the ashes for the priests and the vessels. So before the day of dedication, which is halfway through the Great Tribulation, that's when the Abomination of Desolation takes place. But he's saying that whole 3 years or whatever leading up to that his opinion at the time, a few days ago, was they could actually start construction without the ashes. Is that news to you? Yeah. This is the Temple Institute saying this. He says halakhically, which I mispronounced on my TikTok, is very embarrassing. I said halalically. Oh, it's such a dork. Meaning legally. That he thinks that they're allowed to pluck non-red hairs in some instances. That if there's too many black hairs here, you could pluck a couple. He was thinking, okay, but he said he's going to confirm it for me. And he says, and he said to me, I didn't even prompt this. He says, listen, the red heifer is the most popular topic. We don't know why. People go nuts over the red heifer. That's been my experience too. It is key again to the rebuilding of the temple, but so are 1,000 other things, right? So bottom line, and you guys are going to be so mad at me for this. Like you ever hear like an hour-long joke, and then there's like no punchline? Yeah. Okay, you ready for that? Look at John. He's like, "Oh, are you serious?" I'm going to tell the truth up here. I'm not going to be sensationalist. I'm not going to try to get views and clicks. The bottom line, Yitzhak Reuven, are there still qualified red heifers? His answer to me is it's still in play. It's 100% up to Rabbi Azaria, Temple Institute. And he said that one thing they're watching for, he says, non-red hairs sometimes fall out. And I guess the non-red ones are more prone to fall out than the red ones, which is strange. But he said that the real opinion of the Temple Institute right now is that it's still in play. They're not permanently disqualified. Right now, he's saying they're disqualified because he's being so cautious. He says Rabbi Azari is just being like, and that's what some of the other people involved, I won't say it, were complaining about. They're like, these guys are like so strict, right? I understand it though. This hasn't happened in 2,000 years. But this is what he says to me. Yitzhak says, tell your audience all of this is so under wraps, even Yitzhak Reuven doesn't know. So there you go. But I guess long story short, it's still in play. One cool thing that came out of my conversation with him, I actually brought up the incense project, and we talked about this, and he said, well, you're not allowed to mix the incense ingredients or test it before the temple's actually standing. And I said, you guys will be so proud of me here. I said, no, because remember it says in the Talmud, and it also says in the Mishnah Torah, that if you're doing it for educational purposes, you can do it. And he kind of paused. He said, yeah, I guess that's true. And then I told him precedent of where Gentiles have been involved in like discovering stuff for the Jews. And then he thought for a minute, and I thought, okay, now he's irritated with me. And he starts going down this list saying, well, yeah, that's true. He said, in the Talmud it says we actually bought a red heifer once from a Gentile, and Byron Stinson's a Gentile, so even now, right? He said there was a stone that fell out of a high priest's breastplate. They purchased the replacement stone from a Gentile. King Solomon utilized Gentile workers and materials. And then I brought up what Chabad told me about a year ago, that the Jewish calendar was standardized based on Gentile, input, right? So he said, I'm serious about this. He says, I'm going to ask our rabbis. I'm going to tell them about you. Rabbi Mamo wants to work with us on the incense thing. He says he's been looking for forever for someone to work with him. Didn't even know Guy Ehrlich, the guy growing the ingredients down in the Jordan River Valley. And so he said, let me look into it. He said it could take a very long time to get an answer. And we're still waiting for that specific answer. But look at this. He actually emailed me the next day. So it's great. This guy, he's like talking to us. This, again, another guy that's hard to, pin down. This is the halakhic ruling, legal ruling derived from the discussions of the sages. Time-oriented offerings can be made even when Israel is in a state of impurity, meaning they don't have the ashes of the red heifer. This does not apply to lesser. Okay, let me move on. The time-oriented offerings would be like the Passover, the daily offerings, the daily sacrifices could actually be made without the red heifer, hypothetically. He says that the Torah says in their season, right, which our sages understand is taking precedence over the issue of being impure because of contact with a corpse. So all this stuff that I've always understood for decades about the red heifer, he's saying the top guys of the Temple Institute, who are the deciders, are saying, no, it's actually not quite that strict. Check this out. Construction of the temple can also take place even in the absence of the ashes of the red heifer. This is good information here, guys. This is primo stuff. Like nobody else is getting this. This is good education here for us. They're pulling back the curtain for us here. This actually took place during the building of the second temple, the one that Jesus taught in. That they didn't. He's saying that they didn't have the ashes of the red heifer when they built the second temple, but that they did it anyways. And the Shekinah, God's glory still showed up the Holy Spirit. So if the sea opened up and Israel decided that the time to begin building is today, the third temple, the red heifer ashes wouldn't even be an obstacle at the moment. Even when the temple is established and certain repairs need to be made, and there are artisans that we can still employ them even without the ashes. So I don't know. I'm going to study this a lot further, like what he's saying here. Yeah, eye-opening, right? Concerning this issue of whether non-red hair can be plucked from a heifer, which is so funny to me, there exists over this halakhic disagreement. The rabbis don't agree. Some authorities are willing to allow it in specific cases, others absolutely not. This is the point I want you guys to hear. This is what he wants us to hear, okay? Rav Azariah, the rabbi in charge of all this, who is leading the Institute's efforts to achieve the ashes, is adhering. He wrote all this like formally because I told him I was going to be sharing it with my audience, like my people. So this is for you. Is adhering to only the strictest rulings so that when finally we achieve the ashes, there will be no controversy amongst the rabbinic authorities. This is why they're being so strict, because this is the first time in 2,000 years they want this to be exactly right, where no rabbi can come in and say, oh, you did this wrong, doesn't qualify. I agree with it. If this is God's will, if this is God's timing, then they're going to nail it. It's going to be just right. Okay, here's the last sentence here. As for your question concerning the ketoret, that's the incense, that is a discussion that I will have to have face-to-face with Rav Yisrael, that's the founder of the Temple Institute, or Rav Azariah, his son, the next time I'm in Jerusalem. So, of course, I wrote back, when are you going to be in Jerusalem next right now? Yeah, I didn't really. But isn't that cool, though? Yeah. So we're getting completely inside information on the red heifer. Like this is all new to, I think most Christians, maybe all, I don't know. But then also we through this, we're going to get the ball rolling on the incense thing again. I still have over $5,000 in a savings account that's been sitting there for years now, waiting for the incense project to get back on track. Looks like it might be taking a whole new direction. Rabbi Mamo wrote to me a couple days ago, hey, I'm going to be in the United States in November. Fly out and meet me so we can start talking about the incense. Wow. So isn't this cool? So anyways, so out of this whole red heifer thing, some very cool stuff is, 25,000 views on TikTok, bro. Come on, right? So thank you, Red Heifer, for your, okay. So how about, we got 15 minutes, how about we add another checkbox to al-Shara's list? Okay. That's cool with that? Okay, let's see how much time I want to spend this. Real quick, this is in the news. This was in the news, yesterday, August 20th. Syria and Israel are still having conversations. They met in Paris with the United States. They're at the meeting, right, facilitating the meeting. So that's very important. Keep that in mind. Syria, this is all still in play. al-Sharaa has been pretty quiet the last couple weeks. And I suspect it's because he knew the red heifer was going to keep us really busy, so he's like giving us a break. But they're still talking. This was just yesterday, right? Also, the United States is pulling out of Iraq. So we've had troops there for a couple decades to keep ISIS under wraps, and we're pulling out, which we could be seeing we will see a resurgence of ISIS, and that actually pertains to Aaron's class that we're teaching together next week. So I'm going to save a lot of commentary on that, but let me say it again. The United States has been keeping ISIS under control in Iraq and Syria. We're pulling out next month. What's going to happen from here 100% pertains to al-Sharaa, the story of the Antichrist, the armies of that, right? So we'll get back to that. This came out a week or two ago I guess 2 weeks ago, in the Jewish press. I've been talking fast with this red heifer thing. Take a drink. Wasn't that cool, though? The Red Heifer story? So, and I'm literally hoping with all my heart that nothing else happens to the Red Heifer between now and next class. I want to talk about other stuff. But, okay. So, yeah, this came out in the Israeli press. Actually, I just realized this is Adam Berkowitz, the Red Heifer guy. That's his news outlet, Israel 365. The Jewish roots of Fiqh, which is the neighborhood in the town in southern Syria where al-Sharaa comes from, is Syria's new leader descended from Jews. Wow, that's huge. Because isn't this like one of our principal fundamental tests of this guy, right? Like what's going to qualify him or disqualify him. So just a reminder, it's from Daniel chapter 11, verse 37. He, meaning the Antichrist, shall regard neither the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall exalt himself above them all. These three things here, the God of his fathers, the desire of women, any God, they're all three the same category. He's describing deities here, okay? This is actually a pre-incarnate Christ talking to Daniel, but Daniel, he's describing deities here. So let's start with the last one, is the easy one, regard any God. So any God out there, real or imagined, doesn't regard him, doesn't pay honor to him, doesn't think anything of him. He puts himself above them all. He's the Antichrist, right? Satan incarnate, in essence. What's the desire of women? Do you guys remember? It doesn't mean the Antichrist is homosexual. That's to this day being taught all over the place. Learn to read grammar, right? It doesn't say he doesn't desire women. It says he doesn't regard the desire of women. So what's the desire of women, or what was it back in this day? Go ahead. To be the mother of the Messiah. That's very, very clear. In the Old Testament, the book of Haggai calls the coming Messiah the desire of all nations. Matthew chapter 3, if I remember correctly, is the Song of Mary, where Mary finds out that she's, she goes to meet Elizabeth, and Elizabeth says, John the Baptist, she didn't call him that, jumped for joy when he heard you. And Elizabeth knew what's going on, Mary, and she went this whole spiel. I'm blessed above all women, and the Lord has looked upon me and called me blessed. And she found out she was the mother of the Messiah. That when Daniel wrote this, that was the desire of all women. I don't know if it still is to this day among Jewish girls. I don't think so, because they have a different perception today of what the Messiah is than they did back then. But what's the first thing? The God of his fathers. What does that mean? The God of his fathers. That phrase is used continually throughout the Bible. Okay, and it's different permutations, just a different pronoun. The God of our fathers, the God of his fathers, the God of her fathers, whatever. Right? The God of our fathers. The fathers are always Isaac and Jacob. Jacob, who was renamed Israel. The Antichrist is an Israelite. I want to be careful saying he's a Jew, because technically Jew means from the tribe of Judah. But when I say that, sometimes you guys know I just mean shorthand for he's from one of the 12 tribes. Here's the thing, though. The Jews who were in Fiqh, where al-Sharaa's family's from, this is not the piece of the puzzle here. It's just not, because the tribe in southern Syria was specifically, and it's on the screen there, which tribe? No, which tribes do they know? Because listen, the 10 lost tribes are still lost. Nobody knows who they are or where they are. I do. I'll be teaching you that. Don't worry. Yeah, seriously. Oh man, I made a contact the same day I talked to Yitzhak Reuven on the phone. That was in the morning. That evening, I'm on the phone with a guy in Phoenix who's one of the heads of the Yazidi community in Phoenix. Did you know we had one down there? Okay, well, we do. And we're talking, and he's like, tell me all this stuff about the Yazidis. He's saying, yeah, if the elders knew I was telling you this stuff, and if they knew that I told you this, they'd be so mad at me because they disagree with that. And it was 100% all the stuff in my research. So he wants me to come down there in a week or two. We're going to meet. He says, you got to come down there. I've got stuff to show you. Dude, I have an inside track. Who do I think the Yazidis are? And they are. It's not the tribe of Judah. It's one of the 10 lost tribes. What tribe does the Antichrist come from? Come on. I taught you guys this. Huh? Yes, you guys know. The tribe of Dan. Yeah, the tribe of Dan. So, and again, I have been honing in on these guys for close to 3 years, I'd say. Mark can attest to it. I dragged him and the guys up to the northernmost border with Lebanon and Syria, this little archaeological dig up there called what, Mark?
I'm sorry. I was reading
The archaeological dig I took you guys to up on the border with Lebanon and Syria. Tel Dan, which means it was the ancient city of Dan. Tel actually is like an archaeological mound. That's technically what that means. But it's the ancient city of Dan. So, I've been tracking these guys down, studying them for 2-3 years. Doesn't mean I'm right, but oh my gosh, they are so much the tribe of Dan, the Yazidis, right? Do you guys remember the symbol of the tribe of Dan?
Serpent.
Yeah, serpent. You see a serpent on the screen there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the entrance to their temple, right? Listen, the guy on the phone the other day, the Yazidi guy, he says, "Oh yeah, you gotta." He's like saying, "I'll go with you when you go to Iraq. I'm going to take you to Sinjar, to Lalish, which is, I guess that's how you pronounce it, which is the temple here, right?" And so anyways, I just very excited to meet this guy. But he's saying, "Oh yeah, we got to go in for our big annual feast, like our biggest holiday, right?" And I said, "Oh yeah, the one in April." And he said, "Yeah, that's one where we take like the red flowers and we put them over the door and on the doorposts and we do this sacrifice, but you can't break the bones of the and dude, he's describing Passover. I mean, 100%, right? The old form, like before the tribes were scattered. Anyways, this has been the missing piece of the puzzle for me. This is the number one disqualifier for me. Okay, as obsessed as I've been with this guy, as excited as I've been about al-Sharaa since December 8th when he first showed up in Damascus and seized the throne, right? He is checking every box. But I mentioned this before. You guys help me out here. You've seen this slide before, right? Because I didn't make this slide for this class. This was from a couple months ago. I've been very forthright and honest. If there is no connection between al-Sharaa and specifically the Yazidis, then he's disqualified 100%. In my opinion, what do I know, right? I mean, I'm just one guy. Like, how many people are even looking at al-Sharaa as a potential Antichrist, right? How many people look at the Yazidis and say, "Oh, we think they're the tribe of Dan"? Turns out I'm not the first. Like some of the ancient or some of the older literature, like from the 1800s, says, "Oh, somebody should look at the Yazidis. I think they're the tribe of Dan." That's like the 1800s. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself, way ahead of myself here, right? But anyways, if there's no connection between I'm bearing my soul here, okay? You know how much I'm excited about al-Sharaa maybe being the Antichrist. Do I want him to be? I want Jesus to come back. I want this end time stuff that I've been obsessed is the wrong word. Just completely consumed by. That's the word since I was 10 years old. Is this real? Is this really going to happen in our lifetime? I mean, I just know it. I could be wrong, but you know what I mean when I say that? I just know it. And if this guy is like really the guy, right? But again, the Yazidis, me being, are they really the tribe of Dan? I'm not convinced that the Yazidis are the tribe of Dan. It's the tribe of Dan. Genesis chapter 3, Genesis chapter 49, Jeremiah chapter 8, Irenaeus, Hippolytus is another one. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. All very, very clear. The Antichrist will come from the tribe of Dan. Disappeared into history in 722 BC. 100% not true. They 100% exist in some form today, and that's the form, right? This is how convinced I am. He can check every box in the world, and he is not the guy unless there's some connection to the Yazidis. So never found one, haven't been able to find anything at all. If you Google al-Sharaa Yazidis, you're going to find hundreds of articles. It's all about how he has been involved with groups that were the ones murdering the Yazidis, committing genocide. He was second in command to al-Zarqawi, al-Qaeda in Iraq. He joined up with them in 2003. 2011, he was getting out of prison after 4 years in the Iraqi American prison system. And while he was in prison, he got to know this guy named al-Baghdadi. And al-Baghdadi, as soon as he got out, he created a group that we know today as ISIS. And he had a handful of guys that helped him create ISIS. See, we haven't talked about this before. This is what I'm finding as I'm writing my conclusion. Al-Sharaa literally was one of the founders of ISIS. You're only going to see that in a few, right? So is there a connection between him and the Yazidis? Yeah, the Yazidis despise this guy because of these groups that he's been affiliated with, right? Oh boy, wait do you see what I found? This is insane. I guarantee I'm way more excited about what I'm about to show you than you guys will be. I don't know if you're going to get it or not, but it's insane, this detail I found. So there's this article in The Economist, one of the top publications in the world for this kind of stuff. In fact, the author of the article is Nicholas Pelham, who is the most famous biographer for for strong men and kings and bad guys in the Middle East, right? And he's written the official biography of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who Trump is buddies with now, right? For the King of Morocco, Nicholas Pelham, he's good. He knows his stuff. And he went over and spent like a couple months and interviewing people, finally got an interview with al-Sharaa himself, right? The reason this never came up in my searches, as I've been trying to find this connection between al-Sharaa and the Yazidis, it's behind a paywall. You have to pay money to subscribe. So do we pass around the offering bucket? Yeah, thank you for giving to these Final Days Ministries. I mean, is it going to good use? Like, who else is like finding this stuff, right? So, yes, I paid for an annual subscription to The Economist. Thank you. And you know, I thought, you know, I'm going to go through here. Look at the title, right? The Great Pretender, how Ahmad al-Sharaa won Syria. And I thought, I'm going to get some good quotes in here about him, rising to power through intrigue. He just does it through charm. He's not what he appears to be. He's like a chameleon, right? I'm going to get some good stuff out of this guy's article. I'm going to pay the subscription. This is a week or so ago. I'm going to go through and get my... So, and again, this is for part 3, right? So I'm going through the article about halfway through. It's talking about his early years. Again, he in 2003, he was a young man, wannabe jihadist, had never really, been a jihadist, right? It's just a kid. And he goes to Iraq and he hears about, this guy named al-Zarqawi and this cool new group called Al-Qaeda in Iraq. And he really wanted to join up with them. So shortly after al-Sharaa's return, Mosul, that's up in Yazidi territory, by the way, resistance groups decided to affiliate themselves, see the redaction, with the most powerful militant force around, Al-Qaeda. The leader of Al-Qaeda in Iraq was Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, a Palestinian Jordanian, who thought the way to oust the Americans was to foment civil war and render Iraq ungovernable. Aid workers were beheaded, bombs exploded in Shia shrines and marketplaces across central and southern Iraq, killing hundreds. It's the same al-Qaeda that took down the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001, by the way. And al-Sharaa, he was brand new, man. He was nobody. He really wanted to join up with these guys. But look at this. This is one of the kids he was there with. A fellow Syrian in al-Sharaa's resistance group told me, this is Nicholas Pelham, that the young bomb maker was never comfortable with al-Zarqawi's excesses. Ready for this? And again, you will not be half as excited, or maybe at all, about this. I can't believe what I'm seeing here. Ready? According to this source, al-Sharaa actually threatened to kill anyone who harmed the Yazidis. Okay, I know. I'm going to explain why that's so exciting. And Nicholas Pelham even says that an ancient Iraqi sect denounced as devil worshippers by the jihadists. Think about this. He's a young kid from Syria. He's nobody. He really wants to join Al-Qaeda. He doesn't just say, the Yazidis, they seem kind of nice. Why don't we just leave them alone? He threatens to kill anyone. He's nobody. He threatens to kill his friends who he's fighting with if they dare lay a finger on the Yazidis. These groups did, but this was him as a young man, what he's saying. And then Nicholas Pelham even acknowledges these guys are considered, devil worshippers by the jihadists. So this isn't just some random group. These guys are devil worshippers. Of course we're going to kill them. It was the only group that ISIS targeted for genocide. They were going to let everybody else live. They were going to genocide the Yazidis. Huge story, because they're devil worshippers. Why? Somebody explain to me. Just throw out a theory. Why would this young kid from Syria who wants to join Al-Qaeda threaten to kill his fellow soldiers if they dare lay a hand on the Yazidis? What motive would there be?
Because he came from that group.
Oh, actually, Greg had his hand up. Go ahead.
Because he's from there.
But he's not. He's from Fiqh in southern Syria, and his family was from Damascus, and his father worked in the government, and his mother is a school teacher. And so Aaron and I went to work and just dug up everything we could on the mom and just couldn't quite get a connection. We were so close. We had this romantic story, put together about how his father and mother met at the University of Mosul, and she was actually a Yazidi, and the blah, blah, blah. Nope, didn't pan out. So I'm not going to spin that story. I'm not going to tell.
Was he adopted?
He was not adopted. He was not adopted. So when in Judaism, which is true of all the tribes, so in the Israelite religion, Judaism, let's call it, you are only a Jew if your mother was a Jew. So it's matrilineal descent. So his father is irrelevant in terms of if he's from the tribe of Dan, okay? And this is how it works. So And his mother, it doesn't look like, it looks like she's from Feek also. She's from the Golan Heights. And then her family ended up in Damascus, right? And I have not found anything. Don't get overly excited, okay? So I haven't found anything conclusive. I just haven't. But my next theory, and Aaron doesn't like that. He's like, we got to stick with the mother. I'm like, dude, it didn't pan out. It's not the mother. What if it's the mother's mother? And I'm not going to do it tonight, and maybe I'll do it later after I research this more. But there's some interesting things about like Aleppo, which is where al-Sharaa, this is where he's been the last few years. He's been up around, Aleppo, that area, northwestern Syria. That's the neighborhood he's been in. There's a story that there's a town right there where al-Sharaa has been ruling the last 5 years or whatever, Idlib, all that, called Afrin. And Afrin is very famous for Syrian, Arabic, Muslim males marrying Yazidi women in this town. Totally anecdotal. I mean, not even a theory there, just an interesting point. So is it possible? Oh, and I found stories of where he actually went, even after he showed up in Damascus, and went and met with people. No information about the meetings, but went and met with groups up around that area, Afrin, Idlib, Aleppo. Who knows? But here's the thing: is in my opinion, and I know Muslims, I know Arabs. I spent a lot of time over there. I've had Arab Muslim friends for decades, right? Before I even went over there, and personally, you guys, and I know I'm spinning this. This is just me trying to grasp at straws here. I don't see a young soldier with everything to lose. They could kill the kid for this, right? Threatening to kill his fellow soldiers if they harm if they lay a finger on these devil worshippers, unless there's family ties. It's just my opinion. I'm just not seeing him my best friend in grade school was Yazidi, so I'll kill you if you hurt I'm just not seeing it. It just feels like there's got to be family ties there. I don't know. This is completely unrelated, but did I tell you guys as soon as I publish part 3, I have another research trip coming up, and I'm not telling you where I'm going. But yeah, totally unrelated to what I just mentioned about anyways. But I promise you that nothing could stop me from doing everything I can to get to the bottom of this story. But I think this is compelling enough that I am 100% adding another checkbox, and then we're done. So see the one in red, and see how honest I am? Connection, question mark. There's a connection. What's the connection? To the tribe of Dan, which is the Yazidis. There's a lot of assumptions going on there and question marks and nothing conclusive. It's a checkbox, sorry. So we have 23 checkboxes. He has not checked any boxes that disqualify him. I'm liking this guy more and more in the weirdest possible way because I really... But anyway, so is that cool though? So we go ahead, clap. Let's hear it for the Yazidis. So it's so tenuous, but that's a connection to the Yazidis. We got to explore it. So okay, so that's it. That's your going away present for tonight. You get a new checkbox. So let me put the slide for Aaron, and we are done tonight. So if you guys want to start making noise and packing up your stuff, and remember back in the day when you'd stop teaching and you'd hear zippers like Bibles closing, and now it's just phones. Nobody even right. Where's my? Oh, there it is, right there. So don't forget. Next week in 1 week, we're going to have a guest speaker, looks almost like me, and it's going to be a very fun time, so please come back. And in the meantime, actually, Terry, would you come up here and close in prayer, please? I always have Ernie, but let's get the female perspective here. Give Terry a hand. We love Terry, my fellow radio co-host.
Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for today. Thank you for giving Brian wisdom to be able to teach us what's coming and help us to continually be filled with your Holy Spirit. In your name we pray.
Amen. Okay, thank you. Okay, so like she said, thank you for coming, and remember to stay filled with the Holy Spirit. Love you guys.